Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. So my homegirl recently had a baby and I was getting ready to go over there and sit down with her and go over exactly what I'm about to share with you right now. So this isn't me giving you medical advice. I'm not a professional financial person per se, but I do know a few things. So yeah, I figured I would just hit record and share this with you. You've survived delivery. You're home, you're exhausted, and then all of a sudden the mail arrives because this is the time that the mail is going to roll up on you is when you're the most tired, and it's your hospital bill. It tells you something like $15,000 for a vaginal delivery, or maybe it's closer to $30,000 for a C-section. And if you're already struggling to make ends meet, that stack of papers feels like a physical punch in the gut because it is. I mean, it sent me into panic myself. But I'm here to tell you a fundamental truth about the American healthcare system and how billing works here. The numbers there are not necessarily what you owe. And paying that number immediately can be one of the biggest mistakes that you can actually make. For most people with insurance, the average out-of-pocket cost is closer to $2,500, $3,200. The difference is a gaping hole of tens of thousands of dollars, and it's a battlefield. That's the amount that you're actually going to fight for on this battlefield. There are about 4 steps to this financial battle plan that I want you to have. Grab your pen. And this is how you protect your savings and win. And this isn't really about saving money. It's actually about asserting control over the system that is actually designed to overwhelm you. Not a joke. I'm going to break down exactly when and what documents to demand and about the 240-day legal protection that you need to trigger to keep debt collectors away. If you pay the hospital bill when it first arrives, the entire financial fight is over, and you just forfeited thousands. Why? Because the hospital has zero incentive to find or correct the errors that they have already made because they've made their money off of you. When you receive that first bill, the big scary one, it's not a statement of what you owe. It's just the hospital's opening bid. The document that matters at this time is the explanation of benefits that you get sent to you directly from your insurance company, and that is called the EOB. It's your map. It details 4 things. First, it details the billed amount. This is the hospital's initial inflated price. Then there's the allowed amount, which is the discounted rate the hospital contractually agreed to accept from your insurance. Then there's the insurance payment. That's the portion that the insurer paid or pays. And then lastly, there's your responsibility. That's the remainder of what you owe, which should align with your deductible, your copay, or co-insurance. So the EOB, explanation of benefits, tells you what the insurer, the legal entity, believes you owe based off of their contract. Always compare that with the bill. The hospital bill says $5,000 and the EOB says $3,000. You pay the $3,000, but not yet. Then there's the administrative delay. The billing process for childbirth is incredibly slow and it varies a lot. It can take 3 months or it can take over a year. This is not incompetent, it's often administrative necessity. They are processing complex claims for 2 different patients, mother and baby, and multiple independent doctors. If you haven't received a bill after 2 months, that's actually normal, so don't freak out. Don't call the hospital demanding a bill. That just rushes their process. Use your waiting time strategically, and I'm going to tell you exactly how. Because when you rush to pay, you forfeit the chance to resolve inevitable errors. The longer the timeline stretches, the more errors are typically introduced into the bill. So it's critical. That's how critical your auditing is. Now let's talk about the actionable mandate. for waiting. So your job right now is to wait for the explanation of benefit first. You should receive that, at least 2 of them, one for the mother and the other for the baby services. Next thing that you need to do is log every conversation and document. Get a notebook, write down the name of every person you talked to at the billing department or the insurance company, the date, the summary of what was told. Record that. I mean, that is your defense if they try to send you to collections later on, because these things happen. Next, you're dealing with 2 patients here, and you're dealing with 2 different insurance ceilings. So let's talk about this. There's a bifurcated billing reality. The reason that childbirth billing is so difficult is because you have 4 types of bills arriving in different envelopes at different times. And this is standard, okay? Hospital bill for the mom, which is the room and monitoring and supply. Hospital bill for the baby, which is monitoring, screening, tests, and care, of course. Then, of course, you have your professional fees for mom, the OBGYN, the anesthesiologist, the surgeon. Then you have your professional fees for the baby. So like the pediatrician, the pathologist. Crucially, the baby's patient file is separate from the mom's. The mother might be monitored every 15 minutes, incurring equipment charges. The baby is monitored throughout labor and delivery. So that incurs separate equipment and separate equipment charges. Even the routine state-mandated newborn screening tests carry a specific one-time fee, which in states like Texas and Washington can be nearly $100 or more. These charges contribute to the baby's distinct liability. So now let's talk about qualified life event and the deadline. So keep your pen. This is the most crucial time-sensitive administrative task, is your newborn's enrollment. The birth of your child is a qualified life event, or QLE. You typically have a short window of like 30 days to 60 days to officially add that baby to your health plan. So don't delay on this point. If you miss the deadline, the hospital stay for your baby could be deemed completely uninsured, leaving you liable for a very high, undiscounted total price. Once enrolled, the coverage is generally retroactive, to the date of the baby's birth. So that's a good thing. For those of you trying desperately to manage your finances responsibly, this next point is absolutely crucial. Your baby activates the family maximum. If you had a difficult or expensive pregnancy, you probably met your individual deductible and perhaps even your individual out-of-pocket maximum, which is OOPM. You might think, great, I'm done paying for the year. Awesome. Well, actually, unfortunately, the newborn is a separate individual. When you add them to your plan shifts from covering you under the individual maximum to the higher family deductible and the family out-of-pocket maximum. That creates unexpected new liability. If your individual out-of-pocket maximum was $4,500, your family out-of-pocket maximum might be like $9,000. Your baby's first bill starts hitting that second higher ceiling at that point. Now, let me touch on assistance for low-income families here really quick. So if you're struggling to meet income requirements, you need to immediately check into publicly funded health programs. If the mother is already eligible for medical assistance, or MA, or Medicaid on the date of birth, the baby is considered deemed newborn. This means that the baby's automatically eligible for coverage up to age 1, regardless of the family's income changes. After the birth, when the mother's own eligibility was finalized, this is a vital national protection against initial hospital bills for the baby. Check your state's eligibility requirements immediately. You can do that on your phone. Next is the fun part. This is the part that I love. I love this part. All right. Auditing the bill. First, you need to demand an itemized bill. The hospital sent you a summary statement. That summary is pretty much useless for finding errors. You need to call the hospital's billing office and formally demand a detailed, itemized invoice. Do not accept a simple breakdown. You need a full list, charge by charge. Do this for the mother's bill, the baby's bill, and any separate bills that you receive from outside providers, like from the anesthesiologist or something. This is what you're going to be looking for. What you're looking for in this itemized bill, you're really looking for proprietary codes, and they're called CPT codes, or current procedural terminology codes. This is where it gets juicy. Ooh. And then there's also revenue codes, like hospital-specific codes used to assign prices. These codes have like a 5 to 7 character long thing, and they are the keys to unlocking negotiation. They reveal the ridiculously high list prices the hospital assigned to your basic services. So we're going to hunt for the phantom charges first, the high risk errors, and trust me, they are probably in your bill. Errors are common in complex childbirth billing. Here are the 3 most frequent mistakes that I love to hunt down. Here we go. Phantom charges. Now, first, these are like shocking errors. Look for charges for services that were never performed. A document might show a bill from nursery stay for 2, or unspecified tests, or pregnancy charges for a baby who never left the mother's side. If you know your baby was with you 24/7, those nursery charges might be fraudulent, and you can pretty much dispute those things. Also, check out duplicate billing. Check for the same procedure or supply charged more than one time. Did they charge twice for one IV bag? Twice for one monitoring time? Are these errors frequent? And do they really inflate your balance? Probably. And then of course there's my favorite, incorrect CPT codes. These are common, especially if you transferred care during pregnancy, or the hospital might use global OB codes, which are changing up. And these cover your pregnancy to postpartum. If you delivered there, they should have used like specific codes for partial care. If they use global codes, then you only received delivery services, then they might be overcharging for the months of prenatal care you received elsewhere. And trust me, they are going to charge you too. So if you identify an error or what you consider an error, immediately call the provider's billing office. Be polite, but be firm, and clearly state the CPT2 codes, the service date, the bill, highlight that thing and let them know. Have them put a hold on the account immediately to prevent them from sending your account to collections, because, that's going to be investigated. And then of course, you have protection against surprise bills. Federal law has given you significant protection against unexpected bills, especially for childbirth. If you received emergency care or had a scheduled procedure at an in-network hospital, but were treated by an out-of-network provider, like say the anesthesiologist, this happens all the time. Say it's the pathologist, this happens all the time. You are generally protected from being billed the difference between the provider's charge and the in-network rate. This is called balance billing. And of course, there's a No Surprises Act, NSA. It bans this in most circumstances. And then of course, there's your cost sharing requirement for the surprise services. Like, they can't be greater than what you would have paid at the time of service if it was in network. If you get a surprise bill, file a complaint and file it immediately. Next, let's talk about timing here. Let's talk about the strategic window and recourse. There's strategic timing here. It is 120 versus 240 days. Once you have received the explanation of benefit, the EOB, and completed the audit and resolved any billing errors you know are true and verified in the final balance, you get into that strategic phase for when to pay. The ideal time to settle is when you have maximum leverage. And that's pretty much between 120 to 180 days after you receive that first bill. This is why, because nonprofit hospitals can only transfer accounts to collections after 120 days of the first billing statement. Okay. This is life changing. The IRS rules mandate a 240-day grace period for when you apply for financial assistance as well. So this means that 120-day mark is a threat, but 240-day mark is your legal shield. You need to settle and apply for aid before day 240, before that deadline passes, okay? So first, you can negotiate for a lower lump sum. When you negotiate, you are trying to close the account quickly. The hospital wants cash flow. Your greatest negotiating tool is the ability to offer a lump sum payment. So if you owe a significant balance, say that's like over $3,000, call the billing department and offer to pay a lower lump sum immediately in exchange for the forgiveness of the remaining balance. Be reasonable here, but be strategic. And of course, there are discount expectations. Professional medical bill negotiation services are consistently awesome and report success rates of over 85%. They typically achieve savings of 30 to 50% of out-of-network claims, and often up to 30% even in network patient balances. This proves the charges are negotiable. So if you have a $5,000 balance, offering $3,500 immediately might be a pretty powerful tactic. And of course, there's the Medicare anchor. For advanced negotiation, take a look at Medicare rates. Hospitals typically complain that Medicare only pays 82 cents on every dollar spent. You can leverage this truth. You can propose to pay 120% of the Medicare allowable charge. You can offer them a full immediate payment at a rate higher than the government pays, which is an attractive offer for them and drastically lower than the inflated cost that they listed you. Trust me. So if a lump sum is not possible, immediately ask for internal no interest payment plan. Ask it directly to your provider. Many seem to offer like a 0% financing to avoid all sorts of nonsense. Don't use medical credit cards because they have interest clauses that retroactively apply high interest to the entire original balance. So if you miss that final payment deadline, you got to be careful. So next, tactic B. Let's talk about mandatory charity care. And this is within that 240-day shield. Every person watching this who is struggling to make ends meet, this is your most powerful protection. I hope you heard me say that. The vast majority of large hospital systems in the country are not-for-profit hospitals. To maintain their tax-exempt status, they are legally required by the IRS, Section 501R, to provide financial assistance, often called charity care, to qualifying patients. This policy must apply to all emergency and medically necessary care, and that includes childbirth. So if you have a verified high bill you can't afford, you need to apply for this financial assistance policy. So if you have a high verified bill you cannot afford, you need to apply for financial assistance, or the FAP. Let's talk about collections protection. Remember the 240-day rule? Not-for-profit hospitals are strictly prohibited from pursuing extraordinary collection actions, or ECAs, like selling the debt to collections or suing you until 240 days after the first post-discharge bill. So if you apply for charity care between the time your bill arrives, say 30 days, and that 240-day mark, the hospital has to pause collection efforts while your application is renewed. Now, if negotiations fail, you need to immediately request financial assistance. Fill out the application. That is a legal shield for you, because they cannot send you to a debt collector while you're disputing or appealing that bill if the application was complete within that 240-day window, if that makes sense. You have the right to challenge this. So make sure you have your pens, make sure you have your paper or whatever, because I'm about to break this down in bite-sized pieces for you again. So get ready. When you are armed with these 4 steps I'm about to share with you again, you get to take your power back. So here's the plan. Again, listen closely. First things first, enroll the baby fast. Wait for the explanation of benefits. Don't pay the hospital's opening bid. Wait. Demand and audit the itemized bill. So hunt down the phantom charges and those little duplicate codes. Settle strategically, and that's between day 120 and 180, using negotiation or, the 240 charity care protection that is in your shield. You carried that baby for 9 months. You can absolutely handle a paper bill for 9 weeks. Be defensive, be demanding, and be patient. The system is designed to confuse you, but you are prepared now. You're not required to pay for their mistakes. So go get the savings that you deserve.